Hello, my name is Michael Ramos, and I have been in the real estate world for, well, my entire life. My family and I have done it all and seen more from real estate sales, construction, and property inspections. And in all this time, what fascinates me the most about this industry are the people and how they changed their dreams into realty success.
This program is brought to you by City Home Inspectors, your one-stop shop for all your home inspection needs.
All right. Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of From Dreams to Realty Success, where we share inspiring stories of the top achievers in the industry, in the real estate industry. Today, we have Mauricio Lopez.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, Mauricio. It's really good to have you, man. I appreciate your time. So Mauricio is the owner of Cobblestone Realty and has been licensed for 5 years. He also runs his own podcast, Making Moves with Mal. I've personally been on that podcast, and I highly recommend you check it out. They do everything business on that one, so that's a good one.
It's an awesome time.
Yeah, it's a good one. I personally worked alongside Mauricio. He's very professional, knowledgeable when it comes to real estate. I know his clients definitely get a multitude of, of benefits when working with him. So again, thank you, Mauricio, for taking the time to speak with us today. I know being an owner broker is extremely busy, so whenever I can pull you guys away for 30 minutes, I know that's an expensive 30 minutes, so we'll make the best of it for sure.
Awesome, man. No, I'm really excited to be on your podcast, man. This is great.
Thank you. So I actually have another segment here. It's called A Letter from Betsy. For those of you that don't know, Betsy is my mother, and she's also the owner of City Home Inspectors. She was licensed for over 21 years, so she does really study the market and everybody in it. And this is what she had to say about Mauricio. She said, Mauricio is a super businessman, great negotiator with a can do anything if you're willing to attitude. So I watched him grow from a newbie realtor to a top producer, mentor, and owning his own brokerage filled with top producing agents. I'm super impressed with his growth, professionalism, and future goals. He's definitely an achiever. And yeah.
Oh man, those are some great words from Betsy, man. Oh, she's the best.
Yeah, I know. So
it's crazy because she was one of the very first inspectors that I got connected with when I barely started, and her approach to the whole inspection process was really kind of sold me on her guidance and her expertise, and I knew right away this is the person that's going to be helping guide my clients through that home inspection and interaction process. So you guys have been awesome from the beginning, man.
Yeah, that's kind of like the whole gist, was that, Betsy was a realtor before she got into the home inspection game. So we kind of geared the whole company towards what does a realtor need from an inspector, so we had it from the other side of the fence where we're like, okay, we're looking in from a realtor's mindset. What does a realtor need? And that's why we kind of geared it towards that way. Cause I always say yes, our clients are super important, but our referring realtors are even more important, if not, because I always say I'm probably going to see the average client once every 5 years if I'm lucky, but an agent such as yourself, like I said, the last time I was at your podcast, we had over 100 inspections with you.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that number is it's still growing. I wish I would have looked it up before this one for sure, but yeah, so it's still going on. But yeah.
Yeah. And the whole education piece of it, especially for, all of our first time home buyers, as we work with, I would say primarily maybe 80% of our clientele is first time home buyers, right? So it's the very first time purchasing a property. They have absolutely no idea what to expect. And the home inspection or the inspection part of that process can be very scary and overwhelming for a first time buyer. So you guys make it, you really bring down the stress and and set the right expectations when it comes to kind of knowing what to take care of in your property, which is awesome.
Yeah. And then that's it too, because this is the most stressful thing you're going to do in your life is buy a property. I don't want to add anything else to it. I want to make that my process the most simple process, even though I know that's why all the guys are trained a certain way. Yes, we are going to point out the defects, but we're going to do it in such a way where it's not like, oh, well, you need to blow the house up. We're going to make sure that it's explained in a way that's everything, because everything can be fixed. So we're gonna treat it as
Yeah.
such, you know.
And it really comes down to it, like you said, man. It's about setting that expectation because a lot of times, especially first time home buyers, right? Because they don't know what to expect, maybe their expectations of what a property needs to be is like way up high, right? Like you can't expect to have a perfect house. Like I'm sure every inspection that you guys do, you find something. Like that's the whole purpose of the inspection,
Yeah.
right? So it's
Yeah.
setting that expectation from the beginning with the buyer that things are going to come up and it's normal. I mean, it's a house. You have to maintain it. You have to do things to it, some elbow
Mhm.
grease, some sweat equity, but that's part of owning a property, right? So,
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing too that I always say is like even if even if you're buying brand new property, there's still going to be something that your inspector is going to find. I mean,
yeah,
if
new
and
construction. Yeah, of
if you
course.
have an inspector walk through your entire property and he finds nothing, he needs to go back to school.
Get another inspector. Yeah.
Yeah, you need another inspection because there's never there's no this is a perfect property. I mean, I wish there was, and if there is one, I'm gonna move in.
Right. Yeah. No, I'd buy
I'm
it for my
buying it.
clients. Be like, hey, I'll take that one from your
Right,
hands.
for sure. So okay, so I kind of want to gear back towards it because this podcast is not about me or city home inspectors. It's about you, right? So I'm gonna jump into my first question here. What were you doing before you got into the real estate game?
Yeah. So this would be back in 2017, right? Right before I got licensed, I was working at a paint company. So Sherwin-Williams, it's a big national, paint company. They have a bunch of different locations throughout
Yeah.
the U.S. and international. It's a major corporation, right? And so my job with them was I started maybe 3 years prior to that, and I was just an assistant store manager at one of the locations, and then I worked my way up to a outside sales rep. So my job as an outside sales rep was essentially to go out and meet with like these contractors and these developers who were, maybe doing some projects in the neighborhood and they needed, and give them our recommendations for what products, what colors, things like that, right? And that's kind of what sparked that interest in like, hey, real estate's much bigger than just what I do, on that end. Technically, I was already kind of in the real estate space, right? But I was selling
Right.
a different product in a sense, right? Um, so the cool thing about that was it allowed me to build some really solid relationships with some of these developers and some of these contractors in Chicago that I still, work with today. Um, and one of them was like, "Hey, you're a really great salesman. You're very personable, and you're easy to talk to. Maybe you should consider selling real estate instead." And at the time, I was like, "How? Like, what do I do? What do I need to do?" Right? So that kind of planted that seed of like, hey, let me look into this. Let me figure out what I need to do. So I started looking into real estate, getting licensed and what it pertains, right? Taking the classes, doing the course, and then taking the exams and all that. So I signed up. I did all that. I did like I think it was like 10-week course. So I was going every Saturday. I was doing it once a week, every Saturday, and then you took the exams and everything while still working, full time at this company. But yeah, man, I was with them, Sherwin-Williams. The beautiful thing was I had that flexibility because I was an outside sales rep. I wasn't stuck to a specific location. I would actually be able to like drive around and meet all these different contractors and get to see different properties, different stages of a rehab, right? And yeah, that just kind of piqued my interest into real estate, and that's what made me kind of transition into becoming a realtor.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. I mean, yeah, to already have like your headspace in there,
Yeah,
in that world, and that's exactly, kind of my thing too, is when I came into this company, we were already doing flipping. So like I saw that entire stage, I was the demo crew. I was a part of every crew. So
yeah,
to see every stage go through, it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I know. I knew it like just out of the gate, things, and then the connections for sure. I mean, yeah, and those connections last a lifetime. I mean, there's so many connections that I made from doing construction and doing flipping that I use them for, for if a client needs a plumber or they need an electrician. Hey, this is somebody
yeah.
that I know. These are a couple guys that I worked with, a couple years ago. Maybe they can help you out, for sure.
Yeah, networking is such a huge part of just building anyone's business, especially for an entrepreneur, right? One of my very first clients was actually like one of my very first real estate transactions was a client from, my previous job. So
Hmm.
he bought a tear down. He bought this property, tore it down, built two massive luxury condos. It was an awesome experience just to kind of see everything, like the whole process and being on the other side of it.
Yeah, I bet you guys do that a lot. You'll drive by a certain neighborhood. Oh, I sold that house. Or, I
I
sold
did
that
that one right
house.
there. Yeah, dude, all the time.
Yeah, I do it too. Like, oh, we inspected that one, or I inspected that one. Oh no, they actually bought it. Like it
Yeah, yeah,
actually,
yeah.
it feels good to see it for sure.
It does. It does.
Mhm.
I feel like we're definitely making a difference, in someone's life.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, I know. So you you were licensed for 5 years. So obviously you had your license at another agency before you came into Cobblestone. What
Right.
was that deciding factor to open up your own agency instead of sticking with an established one?
Oh man, that's the $1 million question right there, right? So one of the reasons why, at the time, this would be, 2017, 2018. I was doing well. I was getting mentorship. I was putting myself out there. I was very eager to learn, and I think that's something that a lot of agents kind of struggle with when you first start. Is you get put into this industry where there's a lot of competition. There's so many realtors out there, right? And there's a lot of competition. But as a new agent, you have no idea kind of what your day should look like, what you should be doing on a daily basis, how to kind of structure your days, and how to organize yourself. And so it's a big kind of mental shift, and especially if you come from like a W-2 or like an employer employee environment where your days are kind of structured and your hours are structured. Here, you're as a realtor, you are your own boss, right? So you determine your success, and the level of effort that you put into it will determine how much you're going to get out of the business, right? So the biggest deciding factor for me was uh, I came from a marketing background, so I went to school for marketing and sales and stuff, and so I saw, like, I was a very early adapter for digital marketing with the real estate space, right? I was one of the very first agents to start running Facebook ads, running Instagram ads, and getting leads at less than $1, right? Now, because the space is so cluttered now with all this competition, it's not the same, right? But I was a very early adapter, and that got me to be able to bring in new clients and get new transactions and being able to close. I think I did like 18 deals my very first year, right? Which, as a new
Wow,
agent, it's
that's
kind of
crazy.
unheard of, right? So, I had that extra kind of that extra knowledge to kind of help take me to that level. And where I was currently, I just felt like the tools and resources that they were providing just weren't aligned with what I envisioned for myself and what I wanted to have to kind of elevate my business. And that's when I started kind of looking at my other options. And at the time, Cobblestone had just opened up, and it was, it was Ricardo, Matt, and Greg, these other kind of business partners that were involved with it. And they had the whole marketing kind of digital aspect of the business. So I felt like my values and my kind of mindset aligned a lot better with what they were trying to do here. And because it was still a startup and they had just started it up, I had more of a say in how I wanted to maybe help implement some tools and some resources into the business to kind of help it be successful. So that was probably the biggest deciding factor, is that I was able to actually create kind of from the ground up with this startup, with this new real estate office, some of the tools and resources that we still use today.
Yeah. So, so just to clarify, are you the owner of Cobblestone, or you're
Now I am, yeah. So
so
back in 2020, I took over as the owner. Yeah.
okay, awesome.
So when I joined, I was just a broker, right? Because it was owned by them. And so, I came in, I helped implement some different strategies, some training stuff, a lot of the digital marketing side, and I obviously was running my business and consistently getting clients, and it was very successful, to the point that it just made more sense for me to either buy this brokerage or just start my very own brokerage and start setting some of these tools in place. So yeah, we made that decision, and it was crazy. February of 2020 was, I think, when I took over, and then surely enough, next month we're in lockdown. So it was a weird weird
yeah,
time.
but COVID actually definitely had like a weird, relationship when it came to real estate, because I know we were all completely terrified. Everyone in
Oh
the real
yeah,
estate
man.
game was horrified once lockdowns came in. We're like, man, nothing's gonna sell, nothing's gonna move. but
It
the
it was so it
industry
was so
blew up.
scary. Like that
Yeah.
first month, right? The month of lockdown, it was probably the scariest one because I personally had, I think I had like 9 properties under contract at the time, and out of those 9, I think I had four buyers were like, "Hey, like I'm scared that I might lose my job. I think I want to pull out." And within a week, 4 canceled, like 4 buyers canceled, right? And I was like, "Holy cow, what's happening? Like, am I gonna have to go get another job? Like, what's going on here?" But now, thankfully, with the rate environment kind of taking that drastic shift and becoming so low, the real estate market just it changed so much with COVID.
Yeah, it totally did. It was insane. I think it was crazy to me because I was worried too. I was like, man, no one's gonna be ordering inspections. We're not gonna be busy at all. We're gonna be stuck at home. Like, do I need to get a second job?
Right?
I thought
Yeah.
the same thing. Everybody did, and then it was a reverse effect. I mean, um, I personally I think that the real estate industry is what saved us. What
Yeah. It
saved
definitely
America for
thrived
sure.
through
Yeah,
through
because
COVID.
it made us all like money was still happening. So that
Hmm.
was really great.
Hmm.
That I mean, it wasn't great that COVID happened, but I mean, it was we were fortunate enough to be in an industry that was kind of COVID proof.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that was pretty good. So I kind of want to get to the next one now. Um, so I know your wife is also on your team. Is she your partner, like an
Yeah.
owner? Okay. And then when did she get licensed afterwards, or you guys have been licensed
She
around the same
she
time?
did, right. So when I got licensed back in 2017, we were having a lot of life changes. She was pregnant with our first kid, and she was working at her full-time job as doing HR. And so once my first son was born, um, we made the decision that, hey, we want it makes more sense for her to stay at home, raise our son at home. And then things were going so well with real estate that I was like, yeah, we have the flexibility financially to be able to to do that, to take that, thankfully, right. And so from the very beginning, she's been helping me. She's been like my rock, so she's been she's a lot of like what happens behind the scenes. I say a lot of what is of Cobblestone comes from her, right? We did a whole rebrand when we took over, new logo, new colors, new office, everything. And so that was all her, like she has this very cool creative design aspect to things. And she's very personable as well. She comes from like an HR background. So she was a very integral part of the growth of Cobblestone. And then so she'd been working, admin in the admin role unofficially, right? But she ended up getting her license 2020 when the pandemic hit. She got licensed, and crazy. She got licensed like I think the month before giving birth to our second son. So man, she's superwoman. Like she was pregnant, going through all this during this crazy time, and she got
Pushing
licensed.
out a human
Pushing out a
and
human,
submitting
yeah, and submitting offers right
and
at the same
submitting
time.
offers right after. Click, click,
Yeah.
okay, push.
So she got licensed, and yeah, she's been a very important part of the success that we've had here with Cobblestone, man.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So,
Yeah.
kind of want to get into like if a new or experienced agent decided, hey, you know what? I think Cobblestone is my next move. I want to move to Cobblestone. What are some of the benefits they would receive for joining your team?
Yeah, so we're very kind of boutique-esque brokerage, right? We're a small agency. We have right now, I think we have 15 licensed agents that work with us. So it's a very small, tight knit group. Um, and obviously, every agent is independent, but we have this team camaraderie, and we're building this like family style brokerage where we're all helping each other out. We're all trying to support each other and help each other out. So I think one of the biggest benefits is you get the mentorship from producing agents. Like not only myself, but we have other agents in our office that are also very successful, very produce at a very high level where you get a lot of this advice and a lot of this mentorship from them, and ultimately what it does for a brand new agent is that it helps your learning curve, right? Like I wish I had a very strong mentor when I first started, and it would have helped me tremendously in learning things a lot faster, right? So that the support, because we are a smaller brokerage, we have a lot of different tools that we offer, right? So we have our very own website, CRM. I mean, we use all the high tech, tools that just make our job easier, from like e-signing to transaction management, and everything in between. So we're a very tech friendly company on that aspect. And so as a new agent, you get all those tools and resources, man. And for me, looking back at it, if I was a brand new agent, like when I first started, my CRM was a notepad, right? Or Excel. Like I didn't have, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know how to start if somebody doesn't give you the right tools. And so that's what I was starting with, right? And you quickly adapt once you start producing, and you start changing your behaviors and the things you do to be successful. And some of these tools really help make that difference and make the most of our time, because at the end of the day, every agent's goal should be meeting with clients and helping them find the right property, right? You shouldn't be spending too much time on a lot of maybe like the back end work, like, putting together a contract or scheduling appointments or whatever, right? So yeah, those are some of the benefits of working at Cobblestone. So that being said, we're a very kind of exclusive brokerage. Our interview process is a little different than I would say most of the other places that I've interviewed in the past. And we just want to make sure that the people that we bring on here have the right, core values and mindset that we do, and we feel that are going to help elevate not only themselves but everyone around us. And I'm sure you as a business owner know just how important it is having people with the right attitude, and that impact of having somebody with maybe a negative attitude or just not the brightest of attitudes, and how quickly that can spread. And so we're very particular with who we bring on.
Yeah, morale's super important. Yeah. Especially with a startup, when you're just getting going, you have somebody that's just, hating on everything that's going on. It's like, we did have an inspector once that just, we had to let him go within a month because just, the way he would talk to clients and the way that he would because with city home inspectors, there's a lot of partnering. We'll send 2 inspectors to the same location to do the job. Right. And so he would be in that location. He'd be complaining about a past inspection, complaining about another agent, and then turns out that the agent that he was complaining about was the friend of the agent that was there.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's like, yeah, you can't do that. The real estate world. I mean, it's a big business, but it's still a small business.
Small business, what I mean?
Yeah. It's like we're all in the same space, so we all kind of see each other all the time. So yeah, there was a couple. It happens. You have to let some people just, they're not the right fit for you. And I heard he's doing well. He's in another company. He's still inspecting, and good for him. I wish him nothing but the best. But it just didn't fit our vibe. So it was better to just let him go versus keeping him around and just having damages done.
Yeah, and as a as a new business, right? As a quote unquote startup, right? Reputation is really everything, right? Like, for sure. You guys have worked so hard, I'm sure, to build what City Home Inspector is now, right? For somebody to come in and just taint that reputation is not something that I'm sure not something that you guys take lightly. And so we're kind of the same way here. Like, we're very exclusive with who we bring on. We're very particular with the people that we want to work with and surround ourselves with, and we carry ourselves at a high level, and we expect the same of the people that work with us.
Awesome. Makes sense. Yeah, for sure. So that kind of gets me to the next one. Kind of want to know your first year or your first couple of years when you got started off. Do you have any failures in your real estate career that you learned a lot from? Any stories like that? Something that you just dropped the ball and you're like, man, I'll never do that again. Anything like that?
Oh yeah, man. That's still happening today, right? Yeah. Especially with real estate, man. I feel like you're always learning something new. And as a newbie, right, starting off, you don't really know much about anything unless you encounter that scenario or that situation, right? So I had a lot of that, man, like where, I would miss deadlines because I didn't really know, like earnest money, like I didn't know where, how that had to be deposited. Final walkthroughs, like not scheduling a final walkthrough just because I didn't know. So there was a lot of a lot of firsts, and it's like it happens once and you learn from it and then you don't do it again, right? So and with real estate, it's one of those industries where you're going to see a lot of that. Like, you're not going to encounter an issue until you have that problem happen to you, and then you know how to resolve it, or you know how to handle it the next time, so that maybe the next client, if you have a similar situation, you know how to approach it, and you know how to fix it, and you know how to overcome that obstacle, right? So, man, plenty throughout my first couple of years, man. Too many to name.
Okay, then what about one of your major successes? What's one deal that's like, man, that's my best deal I ever did. It was so smooth. You got anything like that?
My very first deal, man. Like so a little bit of that, background on that one, right? It was a developer. He buys and develops. He does new construction and rehabs all throughout like the Chicagoland area. And so this property, crazy, I think, and this is the power of networking, right? Like, I think an agent had posted it on Facebook, and I saw it, right? She's like, "Hey, this new listing is coming soon." Like, it wasn't even on the market yet. And my client just so happened to tell me, like, we were just talking like the day before. He's like, "Hey, I'm looking to buy in a new property in this location. If you see anything, I'm looking to do some new construction." I was like, "Okay, I'll keep my eye out," right? And boom, like, the opportunity just presented itself. Crazy. Like, I just so happened to be scrolling on Facebook that day, and I saw it on my newsfeed, and I was like, let me reach out, let me see if we can make this work. We saw it the same day. He made an offer that same day. The offer got accepted that same day. It was a cash deal, so he ended up closing, very quickly. The smoothest, like, for being my very first transaction, I was like, man, if all real estate deals are like this is easy, this is cake, but that's not
If
the
only.
case. If only, right? If only. But yeah,
We'd all be doing it.
that was so lucky. Like, it was just kind of like right place, right time type of thing, man. And
Yeah,
and knowing the right people.
yeah. And probably just showed you the way, like, hey, man, you got this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
For that
yeah.
to be
Oh,
your
it was
first
such a
deal and just
huge
went through.
confidence booster, man.
Oh,
Like,
I bet.
it gave me like just it really is, I feel like everybody limits themselves because that you don't know what you're capable of, right? But once you start putting yourself outside of your comfort zone, once you start doing things that maybe start scaring you or give you that kind of second thoughts, that's when you know you're headed in the right path. And that's what taking the risk into real estate really was for me. But things like that, like transactions like that, made me realize, like, hey, I'm doing well. I know what I'm doing, and I feel confident in what I'm doing. And then a lot of it too was fake it till you make it, man. Like, if I didn't know the answer, I wouldn't tell my clients I didn't know the answer. I'd be like, well, let me figure it out. Let me find out. Let me get that info for you, and I'll get back to you, right? So, just conveying that confidence, conveying that level of hey, I know what I'm doing, and you can trust and you can count on me, goes a long way, especially within real estate, because a lot of those clients are going to be the ones that are going to refer you more clients, right? If you provide an amazing service, they're going to have nothing but good things to say about your business.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Yeah. So then I want to get into my next one now. Kind of want to know more about your podcast. You want to tell people a little bit about making moves with Mal?
For sure, man. So the podcast started 2 months ago, I think. Yeah, 2.5 months ago. And it was an idea that I had tossed around probably for maybe a year before that. Like, I was like, man, I wanna start getting into a podcast. I want to start interviewing some people, because I'm always having some really good conversations with a lot of friends, different entrepreneurs, and just hearing their journeys and their struggles, their successes within their prospective business. I always felt like, hey, like, a lot of people can benefit, and a lot of people can be inspired by just hearing someone's story and being able to relate to them, or being like, hey, he's just like me. I can do the same thing, right? And that's what sparked that idea of like starting that podcast. And so we've been doing it now for about 2.5 months. We've been interviewing people in different industries, right? I've had people in the custom clothing business. You guys came on as home inspectors. I've had DJs, nurses. I've got all different industries, and that's the whole purpose of that podcast, is to see, from all people come from all different walks of life, and success is defined in so many different ways, and it's just cool to hear people's kind of unique story of how they define their success.
Awesome. Amazing. Yeah. So, and that is Making Moves with Mal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I have it
And
on
you're
YouTube. It's on Spotify.
Nice.
It's everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, if anybody wants to hear more of Mauricio's talking and something about other industries, go ahead and check out Making Moves with Mal. And then I have my last question here for you. Besides
Cool.
real estate, is there anything else you're passionate about?
Oh man. Besides real estate, man, my other biggest passion is just being a dad. Being a family man. We have two little kids, right? My oldest is going to be 4 this year, and my youngest is going to be 2 this year, right? And so they're both boys, and they're both crazy, fun, energetic, and I just love spending time with them as a family. So whenever I'm not with clients working at the office getting deals done, I'm spending all the free time that I have with my kids and my wife. We're either going on road trips or just hanging out together as a family, doing picnics, like whatever we can do. Which is, as a entrepreneur, as a real estate agent, free time is so scarce, and when you have it, you have to take advantage of it. And so my kids are everything, man.
Yeah, no, I get it for sure. I got 3 of them, so
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah. So any plans to having any more in the future?
but potentially, yeah, man.
Potentially.
Yeah.
You got to sell a few more houses first, right?
I got to sell a couple more houses, man. Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, yeah, this was great. This was great. That's pretty much all the questions I had for you. If you want to take this time and let people know the best way to contact you if they'd like to hire your services in the future.
For sure, man. Appreciate that, dude. Well, thank you again for taking the time. This was an awesome podcast.
Thank you.
If people want to learn more about me or want to work with me, whether they want to buy a property, sell a property, anything relating real estate, I'm more than happy to help. I can be reached at my office line, which is 708-512-4729, or you can go to our website, which is just cobblestonerealtygroup.com.
Awesome. Great. All right. Well, yeah, this is James to Realty Success. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in this week. We're here with Mauricio Lopez. And if anybody has any questions for him, please give him a call. But that's it. We're done for this week. Thank you so much, Mauricio, for your time. I really do appreciate it, man.
Thank you, sir.
And we'll see you at the next one. Thank you.
Thanks.